Hey up, welcome to the channel. It's Super Yorkshire Comic Lad here, and welcome to my new YouTube page. So this is going to be a brief introduction to the channel itself and to me. I'm going to give you a little bit of comic background history on me, just so you know where I'm coming from, where I'm speaking from as a comic fan. And yeah, just what is this channel going to be? So the idea, I want to do this channel because I'm subscribed to a few YouTube channels myself, comic channels. My favourite among them is Near Mint Condition, and I've been watching a lot of their videos, and yeah, it just got me thinking. I won't mind having a crack at it myself. It's not the first time I've had a go at YouTube. I've got another channel dedicated to a different hobby. I've only got about 5 videos or so on that. So yeah, it's not the first attempt I've had at this, but I just want to have another crack at it. So what is this channel? Basically, what I want to do is I want to do this for more than out posterity reasons. Like, I want to be able to, in years to come, look back at these videos and see, you know, what I was reading, what I thought of those books that I was reading. And same goes for my kids. You know, when they get a little bit older, I want them to be able to look back and think, oh, this is what Dad were reading, this is what Dad were into, and stuff like that. So that's the main reason I want to do this, is just to kind of document everything. You know what I mean? Just so I've got it all there. I mean, I could obviously just like make a list, write down all books that I've read and stuff, but this is just a bit more of a involved process. It's just going to give me something to do, really. So what I plan to do is, after every book that I've read, I want to make a little video about it, just showing the book, showing a little bit of the artwork inside the book, and just giving some brief thoughts on the book. They're not going to be long videos because I'm not a good speaker. This isn't, you know, something I'm not very good at it, to be honest. So I'm just going to try and keep it nice and brief and just give some basic thoughts on the book. So as a viewer, what I'm thinking that viewers can get out of this is, if, like me, you're fairly new to the hobby, it can give you some like inspiration for things to read. You know what I mean? If you see something you like on some of my videos, you might think, oh, that could be something that I'm into, so you might go and pick it up. Or for like long-term comic fans, it could just be an interesting way to watch somebody who's relatively new to the whole thing progress through it. So let me just give you a little bit of history regarding like comic books and myself. So I first got into comic books when I was a young lad. I was probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. And occasionally, when my granddad finished work, he'd come home and he'd have a brand new comic for me. Now, 9 times out of 10, it was usually Spider-Man. So I grew up with Spider-Man as my favourite superhero, and he still is, to be honest. Occasionally to be X-Men, but mostly Spider-Man stuff. And I used to love it. I devoured them, you know what I mean? I absolutely loved them, read them over and over and over again. But as I got a little bit older, like into my teens and stuff like that, kind of fell out with it. Video games became more of a thing, you know what I mean? And that kind of took over a little bit. And it weren't until about probably 6 years ago, somewhere around there now, that I fell back into it. And the book that made me fall back into comics was Saga. I was listening to a video game podcast, and somebody on there were talking about this comic, and how everybody must read it, it's amazing, and it was Saga that he was speaking about. So I picked it up, and it were right. Saga were amazing. Saga opened my eyes to like what comics can be. Like, all right, they're not just like superheroes. There's more to comics. You know what I mean? Comics have progressed since I were a lad. So I was blown away by that. I read the first 5 volumes of Saga, trade paperbacks, and I read the entirety of Y: The Last Man. But after that, again, I fell out with a hobby. I'm not really sure why. It's probably because two young kids at that point. You know what I mean? The kids would have been young. Probably one were a newborn at that point. Then it was probably just a bit too much. I think also at that point is when I started to get a little bit more serious with wargaming, like building and buying my own armies and whatever. So that probably took precedent over comic books. But yeah, fast forward to present day basically. Lockdown 2020, coronavirus. Yeah, I got like 6 weeks off work, and I was just trawling through eBay, and I saw a book called Pride of Baghdad. Now, obviously, I knew I liked Brian K. Vaughan with Saga and Y: The Last Man, so I thought, wow, it was only a few quid, so I ordered it and bought it, and yeah, I loved it, and just went from there basically. And I'm starting to get a small collection of books. I do read mainly collected editions like this. I do have some single issue comics, and I'm going to continue to buy them going forwards. But definitely my main focus is like trade paperbacks, hardbacks. You know what I mean, stuff like that. I prefer that format to read. So that's going to be the primary focus. But yeah, this is just. I'm just going to have another crack at this YouTube thing. And if you want to come along and join me, you know, you're more than welcome. So until next time, see you again.